Hello everyone, I'm Jon Evans, and welcome to another episode of One-on-One. I am so excited for you to hear this week's podcast episode. It's with Jesse Flair. Now, Jesse has built a massive following on social media. He has millions of people watching his videos on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and other platforms. He's built it with his success as a professional free running champion, his transition into doing movie and TV stunt work, and now as he's moved full-time into acting, coming off his recent guest starring role on NBC's Law & Order SVU. Jesse, his wife, and their 2 kids recently moved from Western North Carolina to Wilmington so he could be closer to the film industry. And as Jesse works to grow his acting career, he's also talking about opening a free running school here to help others pursue the same dreams he had after first learning about parkour. Professional parkour champion, actor, director, entrepreneur, husband, dad, Jesse Flair, welcome to the One-on-One with Jon Evans podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you coming in. With all that you've done, Jesse, all the places you've lived, LA, New York, everything that you've done film-wise, why did you move to Wilmington?
That's a great question. You know what, we had left LA when we had our son, because we were like, LA at the time, especially during COVID, was like a very hard place to be in. We were just like, I couldn't imagine raising him there at the time. And so instead of just moving on, we actually renovated a little RV and we traveled around the USA for 9 months. So we actually were like, where are we going to go?
Yeah.
And to be honest, we didn't know. And then we found this incredible piece of property in North Carolina. We came back east and it was so lush and green. And we were like overwhelmed by just how beautiful the forests were. And so we ended up buying this piece of property that was 14 acres, had 7 ponds, 11 waterfalls. And we lived on the land for 2 years, bringing this property back to life. And we decided, man, we're too far from the film industry.
Yeah.
I was working at Atlanta, which was about 3.5 hours away. So I'm leaving home. And then the next thing was, where is there film? And we missed the beach. You know, we grew up on Long Island. We always had a beach near us in LA. And so we looked up, where's there film and where's there a beautiful beach? And Wilmington popped up, and we are the type of people, my wife and I have been together 26 years.
Right.
And so we were like, let's just go. Let's go check it out. And so we came for a weekend and we're like, great, we love it. And so, next month we sold our place and moved out here.
Yeah, we did that in 1992. Came here for a job and haven't left yet. I mean, it's we raised our kids here. You know, if we keep a storm away, this is a beautiful place to be.
Yeah.
You know, you've got the blooming film business and everything else like that. It really kind of mixes right in for what you need, right?
It's perfect, yeah. Between the warm water, that's the one thing LA never had. You know, I love surfing, but man, that water was always cold because of the Arctic current, for those that don't know. But you get out here and now you could just surf in your bathing suit and chill. And
When did you first learn about parkour? Like you said, you grew up in the Long Island area, but when did that come across your map?
Yeah, well, I grew up in action sports. My dad is like a motorhead, so we had like snowmobiles and quads and go-karts and everything. Even from the age of 3, I was riding a dirt bike that I couldn't touch the ground on, right? So from a very early age, I was taught about this life of like, if you're going to do extreme things, you also have to be responsible. And so there's a story like my sister jumped out in front of me, and of course, I'm too small to touch the ground, so the bike falls on me. I have a little burn scar from like a screw.
Uh-oh.
A hex screw still burnt into my leg. So from early on, I learned this idea of like, you're going to play hard, you got to be responsible. And so I continued to do that over and over again. And when I was in college, I saw some kids jumping off some walls, and I couldn't quite tell what they were doing, but coming from a person who loved The Matrix and was always trying to run off walls and flip off trampolines, I jumped into the mix and I threw this big backflip off a ledge and landed kind of sketchy. You know, you're just like, I'm hucking things.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, that was awesome. But, you know, what we're doing isn't necessarily that. It's parkour. It's about overcoming obstacles, whether it's like the physical obstacle in front of you or the mental obstacle that comes with the challenge. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I'm in. You know, I know it was a SUNY New Paltz, which is kind of like a hippie art school. And so like, I was like, I'm in, full send. But at that time, there was no YouTube. It just started coming out. And so you had to find it. You had to go in the forums and find the websites and communicate through these like really bad video quality files. But once YouTube hit, it changed everything. All of a sudden, everyone who was practicing parkour around the world could see all of the different styles. And depending on where you came from, depending on the location and the environment, London, all these hard concrete buildings and big drops, it changed the style of movement. And so we all of a sudden we're mixing all these styles together. And that's really what gave parkour its style.
Is it the draw of athleticism? Is it the draw of fitness? Is it the draw of adventure? Or is it all kind of mixed into one that drew you to want to really dive into it?
Yeah, I don't know. I've always been attracted to the idea of being sort of superhuman, a best version of myself, and whether that's through anything I do, like the acting stuff or whatever, but through physicality, that's what action sports was to me. It was this like, the ability to fly through the air is not something that a normal human is doing. And what parkour really presented was the idea that there's this challenge. And there's always a challenge, right? The way I define parkour is like discovering your own physical limitations and designing the progressions to push past that. And sometimes those things are mental and they're physical, and it all works together. And so some of my favorite experiences while working at a gym is watching a kid, and there's this thing that we do even in stunts, which is like 3, 2, 1, action. Well, even in the gym, we start to work with the youth to sort of design that idea of like, don't hold yourself back. Give yourself the deadline of between 1 and 0, right? And so you'll have kids counting themselves in to do that big jump that they're a little afraid of. They've been working up to it. They know they're capable, but their fear barrier is still there. So they'll count themselves in 3, 2, 1, go. Or I'll count them in, and they send it and they do it. And like watching that's the experience that really kept me in parkour for as long as it did, because I'd constantly just be pushing past what I thought I was capable of and finding these new levels of like human skill.
When did it go from gym and walls to rooftops and the next, I'll call it the next level? I don't know if I'm speaking in the right jargon or not, but I would say doing a backflip and spinning off of a wall is one thing, but going off a rooftop and going from one building to the next, that's a whole different level, isn't it?
Yeah, and what's interesting is the sport has kind of been marketed through the extreme aspect of what parkour is. Even when I talk to people and I'm like parkour, if they don't know, I'm like, the guys that like run off walls and jump from building to building, because that's like, boom, I get it. That is parkour. But it is so much more than that, right? Most of the time we're training on lower level stuff. We're really dialing in how capable we are, the distance we can jump, how softly we can land, and how precise we can land on a bar. But the rooftop thing it feels like an inevitable progression, because if I know that I can do this jump 100 times and stick it every single time, eventually I want to go, okay, well, how do I get that fear barrier if I'm only doing it 4 inches off the ground? Well, I'm going to go to 2 feet. And then all of a sudden I'm doing that every time. And then it's like, okay, well, let me go 6 feet. Now I'm like in a real dangerous thing. So now I need to know, all right, if I fall back, I can catch the cat this way. If I fall forward, I can do a hook leg this way. And so you have all these skills that kind of start to now be a part of the vocabulary while you're going for that bigger trick. So inevitably, there's this idea where you start to go, okay, I know everyone. I could take you right now outside and we could walk on the little sidewalk, right? Yeah. And you'd be fine. But I put that thing up 10 feet and all of a sudden you slow down. You start looking in different places. Yeah. And so having that challenge of being up high, trusting ourselves, knowing what we're capable of, not everyone does it, but for the guys that have been doing it long enough and the kids that are not educated enough to know that we've worked so many years to get to that place, it presents a different challenge and sometimes an issue with parents who don't have the right concept of what parkour is. Right. But Hollywood has kind of definitely turned it into the rooftop spectacle it is.
Right. When you're doing some of these things, where do you put the fear? You tuck it in your back pocket and just get it out of your mind?
No, I think that's it's a misconception. Fear is healthy, right? Fear is the thing that actually keeps us safe. I think a lot of people that watch extreme sports athletes or these top guys that are like motocross, all these different things that are happening. You go, you're not afraid of anything. You're like, yes, I am. You know what I mean? I am afraid, and that fear is what helps protect me. And so fear is just a lack of understanding. I've done a lot of research, and I tried to break it down. I tried to understand how to coach it. And what I kept coming back to is fear in anything is the fact that you just don't understand it enough. And when you start to understand, okay, and what I mean by that, like I was saying, if I jump to this ledge or balancing, right? If I'm balancing on a ledge and I fall to the right side, I know at least 3 different moves I can do to protect myself from falling to the ground. Mm-hmm. Or depending on how high it is, I know that if I do fall to the ground, the ability to roll, to cushion, to like do this, even a barrel side roll, like anything that can transfer that momentum into a safe exit,
right.
Is going to be key. And so it's not that we're not afraid, we're just confident in the ways to get around the danger.
Well put. Okay, I see what you're talking about now, because the one thing I've noticed is the way you all land. It's a soft landing, and then you roll this way or you roll that way. And is that the key then?
Yeah, I think I always explain momentum as sort of like a visual line through the air. So if you were to picture like a little neon thing, if I just jump straight down from something, all the impact is going like boom, right? But now if I'm taking momentum, which sounds scarier because when you're running off an object, you're like, I could either drop down safely or I could build more momentum. That sounds like it doesn't make sense. But when you start to think about it like a line coming out, all of a sudden you're traveling down and your momentum's already going forward. So when you go into that roll, it all dissipates through the roll itself.
Yeah, fascinating. How did you transition into stunts? Was there a call that you got? Were you around somebody and said, you might be good at this? How did the stunt work begin?
So my journey was from SUNY New Paltz. I got out to New York, and we moved to New York for 5 years. And I was diving in. I'm always hustling, right? That's who I am. So I'm looking at ads. At that time, Craigslist had a lot of film things, so I'm applying to things. And Eastman Kodak Company had an audition, a video audition. They were looking for a parkour guy, which at that time was very isolated. There was not very many people specializing in it.
Right.
And so I was like, oh my God, I love it. And so I filmed my first like audition self-tape, and I sent it in, and they liked it a lot. And so they ended up flying me to Rochester, New York for this. It was kind of like what they do every year, or used to do every year, was they would release new film stocks, and that film stock would have a deeper, whatever, dark shadow, whatever, and all these different aspects that it shifted from what they originally had and the chemistry and that they were using in other films. So they would film this beautiful kind of short film, 20-minute, whatever feature, and they would film it in sections, so 1, 2, 3, and between those sections, they'd go and stop and show you all the different aspects. And so the story was that this guy who lives in the kind of field in a trailer comes out one day and he finds this flyer for the circus. And he climbs up this tree, pop, 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 and so you immediately know he's skilled. And he looks at it and so he finds his way out, hitchhikes his way into the city. Anyway, and so he ends up going into the circus and doing this crazy jump, flip, and makes it up to the top and just kind of presents himself. And it's all just this beautifully shot thing by a guy named Fred Murphy, who shot The Secret Window with Johnny Depp and Freddy vs. Jason. So I'm introduced to like real film set on giant film cameras shot by masters of like cinema, and I am immediately hooked. I'm like, that's it. So that wasn't necessarily putting into stunts, but now I'm the lead in this thing. I felt all the energy, and I can't go anywhere else. My whole life has been camera. From the age of like 4, I was filming vlogs, pretending there's a bear and it says teddy bear and stuff. So
was that Equinox? Is that the name?
That
of
was
it?
Equinox.
Yeah, I watched part of that in the research for the interview.
Oh, fun! Yeah, so that was like the real like changing moment for me. After that, I got back to New York. I started doing background and everything and anything, trying to get on set so I could understand it. And then I'm continuing to train parkour. And at that time, there's a group out in Los Angeles called Tempest Freerunning. Mm-hmm. Tempest Freerunning, who at that time were like the guys in Hollywood, because they were the only isolated group in LA that was training parkour like that. So all of a sudden they're booking all these movies as specialists for the chase scenes and, mall cop, anything that had like a wild parkour chase. They were the guys. And so I'm in New York going, I want to be a part of film. I do that. We got to move to LA, and I got to get in with them. And that's what I did. I moved out there. They were about to open a parkour gym called Tempest Freerunning Academy, which hopefully we'll talk about in a little bit. And I knew they hadn't opened. They did a soft open, At the time, I'm already building a YouTube channel. I'm becoming one of the most followed parkour athletes in the world.
Right.
And so I'm like, I want to show people the first parkour gym in the United States. And so I go in there, I just shoot a video, like the wildest things I can do. And then I go back the next day, I shoot more and film more and film. And I release the video. I work all night. I get that video out as fast as I can because I know the marketing of being first to market, showing the world.
Oh, yeah.
I know all the guys in New York have been hearing about the gym, so they're like buzzing to see it. And sure enough, it blows up. It gets like, at that time, a lot. It was like 500,000 views. And it had a reverse effect. The Tempest guys all of a sudden are going, who's this kid? He just comes out of nowhere, shoots our gym, releases it before we do. I'm like, ugh, not a good taste. But it kind of backfired on me. But there was a blessing.
Yeah.
They released their video that they've been working on, and they shot, at the time, Hollywood was just starting to do these oneers, which is a one shot that doesn't break. Either you're editing in post where you wipe past something and they edit an invisible seam there. But they shot this oneer all through the gym of everyone doing some incredible things. And the video blows up. It gets like, at that time, 2 million views. You know, blows Coca-Cola's advertising out of the water. Everyone's like, who is this? How did they?
Yeah.
And so luckily their video did so well that all of a sudden my video doing well didn't bother them anymore. So next thing you know, I'm coaching. I'm in there. I become pro athlete on the team, and later became the world's first pro with his own signature shoe through Tempest Freerunning, and a co-owner of the gyms.
Did the Casino Royale movie help parkour and free running? Because for those who don't know, it's Sebastian Foucan. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Yeah, say his name. He was Malacca, and Bond, Daniel Craig's first scene, chases him through this construction site. And I watched it, and I'm a Bond guy.
Yeah, nice.
But I didn't realize until I read, not very recently, that the idea for that was the beauty of parkour versus the brute strength of Bond, and what it was supposed to send. So what did that do for parkour and free running, if anything?
I mean, it did a lot. And it did a lot for my career, because what Sebastian did was he proved that, like, sort of the action actor aspect, like how much more you can get out of someone who's capable and can also be on camera. And so that directly relates to where my career is at right now and has been. And but for parkour in general, we had this interesting thing happen. So the two things that get brought up is Casino Royale or The Office. And so I don't know if you're familiar with The Office scene, but those two things are like either you know this one or you know this one. That's what introduced you to our world. And even The Office, as funny as it is, it still tells the story of what parkour is when they're watching the video and they're seeing it for real, and then they go do their own silly stuff. But Casino Royale really highlighted, like, holy heck, that is the epitome of what human capability looks like. And I've broken that down. I did an interview with GQ where we did a full breakdown of that chase scene, what was real, what was on wires, and what they couldn't do legally, but what Sebastian was doing. And so much of it is like, you could tell he had been training for years and years and years, and was like, so, yes, that changed. That changed not everything, but it really put us on the map of like, whoa. And then you had all the shows that wanted to do some aspect of it and continue to reference it. So it's still the number one, I think, chase scene besides a French film called District B13, which was David Bell, Sebastian's other partner.
But I mean, that, again, being a Bond guy, not only did I love it just for the action, but reading then later what it was designed to do, I was like, well, it did.
Yeah, it did.
I mean,
so well.
it did exactly what it was, especially when he goes through the little window and then Bond breaks through it.
Yeah.
It's like beauty, brute strength.
Yeah.
It just showed the amazement.
Yeah, it's like
of what it can
efficiency
be.
versus like determination.
Yeah.
Or like those two worlds, right?
Yeah.
And they could coexist, but
but it's more fun to show the two sides.
for sure. And that's, I think there's something interesting about parkour in general is when we think about a pro or an expert, and this is, I think, across all worlds, my understanding of the difference between a beginner and an expert is proficiency. And so when we think about, like, when a parkour guy jumps over something, we call it a Kong vault, where he uses both hands, his knees will be like this close, right? It's like we use every minute piece of efficiency to give us how much further we're going to travel, how much speed we're using or energy we're not using, right? Saving. And then you watch the beginner do it, and they're really thinking, I got to protect my knees. So they jump up and over, and there's this big gap between it. And they're still the same move. Mm-hmm. But in any career, the ones that are doing it efficiently are the professionals. And I think that's what separates us.
Well, I read something where you said you wanted to take and maybe bring the sport into an X Games, or bring the sport to the next. Is that the next level for free running, you think?
Yeah, Tempest Freerunning is doing an incredible competition. We've hosted four competitions around the globe called the Kings of the Concrete. And there's another one actually happening in Mexico in October. But there's something else also happening at the same time, which we're not completely in support of, which there's been a big push to get it as a part of the Olympics. And which sounds great, but what's happening is the Gymnastics Federation has essentially just claimed, parkour's ours. And so and by doing that, what they're forcing it into, and it's a big money play, which is a whole nother conspiracy or something. Yeah. But what they're forcing it into is by doing it the way they're trying to do it, they've created all these rules that has changed the way the movement looks. And so every step you take is a deduction in points, which now you have these guys that are literally doing these rolls on the ground, like these funky little rolls that they're trying to make look good to get to the next thing so that it counts as an extra point and not a deduction of point. And so you have on the course, it's like people are kind of just rolling around looking weird before they do another really big move, and then they roll around. And so in my opinion of the beauty of the sport, it has really hindered self-expression through movement, which is the free running aspect of it, the flips and tricks and how you incorporate that within an environment. And so what Kings of the Concrete does is it's more of a very spectator-friendly sport. People are going head-to-head, so it's a ladder competition. Judges hold a white panel or a black panel, so every time an athlete goes out, they're either wearing a white jersey or a black jersey, and they switch depending on where they are on the bracket. And so every battle, you as a spectator, you go, well, I like that guy better. Yeah. So do the judges agree with you? Probably, because it's usually kind of easy to tell. Sometimes it's not. So you have 5 judges, right? Yeah. So it can never be a tie unless one of the judges rarely decides, I can't vote. I can't decide. And then it'll go to something else. But
cool.
Yeah.
And is there a highway to take that to the next level, do you think?
Right now, we have a load of these competitions. Everything we've done has been live to tape, so we've gotten millions and millions and millions of views on these competition series and the clips that come out of them. We have a package set up. If anyone wants to buy that and broadcast it on any sort of network, it's all packaged and ready to go, so those conversations can definitely happen. A lot of it is just building up the sponsorship dollars. Who wants to come in and make this thing a real series, like the skateboard series. And so it's all there, and everything's building slowly, and that's the truth of what parkour is, right? It's all about progressions, the small steps, because you can't jump from the bottom step to the top. It's way easier just to walk on up. But too many people are looking at that top, and they're so afraid and don't understand how to get up there instead of just finding what's right in front of them.
You've done that a lot, though. The more research I've done about you, the one thing that I have found is if there's not a way to get somewhere, you invent it.
Yeah.
You work to get it done. Yeah. And it's not like people who say, crap, I'm done.
Yeah.
You have to find a way to get done what you want to get done.
Yeah, there's a concept, there's a book, I forget, Alex something wrote the book, I think. It's called The Third Door. And the concept's simple. There's the front door. You go to this bar in Los Angeles, which this is a true story, so I'll paint the picture. It's late, me and my buddy are out, another parkour athlete, which is part of the story, but from Sweden, moved to LA, doing amazing. But he and we get to this big fancy bar in Los Angeles. We're all we're ready, excited to get in, and we get there, and the line is wrapped around the building. There's everybody waiting to get in, right? And so you go okay, well, I could wait online because that's what the normal person does. Yeah. And you go around to the side, and you realize, there is a side entrance, but I'm not rich enough or famous enough or know someone well enough to get in that door yet. So where's the third door? Where's the entrance that no one else is looking at? And maybe no one else is brave enough. And so we keep walking around, and I mean, call it breaking and entering if you want, but it's a restaurant, it's a bar. So we look up, and there's a kitchen door just cracked open. We can see the hustle and bustle inside. You know, people are kind of in there, but there's a fence surrounding it, 2-story fence that goes all the way up, and it's a little spiral staircase. So we're like, well, let's just try that door, right? We got the skills.
Yeah.
We got the whatever, gravitas to get in there. So we climb over this fence, you know, we could get in trouble, right? We're taking a risk.
Right.
But we get up there, and sure enough, it's the little kitchen. People are kind of working. We just walk in like we own the place, walk right through, and boom, we're in the bar. And so that's the idea of the life that I think you can live if you're creative enough and brave enough to look for another way in, right? And I don't think everyone's willing to do that. And if they were, they would have locked the door, you know? So those doors exist everywhere in everything we do. And sometimes it's really difficult. And like acting is a space where I am having a real hard time trying to figure out that third door. I think I've got it. When we could talk about it, but
I'll share a story, and I want to get back to you, but I'll share a story.
No, please.
I turned 21. I'm in college. My friends and I were in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, where I went to college. And I'm a huge REO Speedwagon fan.
Oh, cool.
Love it. They're playing in Binghamton, New York.
Yeah.
The Broome County Arena, okay? We go up, we get tickets. It's my 21st birthday. We go up and we see them in Broome County Arena, and we got, you know, nosebleed seats. So we're walking in, and we're like, how are we going to sneak down close? So we're walking around, and we see a sign that says players entrance only. Okay, let's try it. We open the door, we walk down, there's nobody around, like no security. Walk through there. We end up coming right alongside the stage.
Nice.
And then we just merge ourselves right toward the front. My 21st birthday, I'm 10 feet from REO Speedwagon in Broome County Arena, and I could have died that night and gone home, and I would, but that's now that you say, finding that other door, taking that chance, sometimes pays off.
It does, and not always. And like, but you somehow have to figure out, like, you got to weigh the consequences. What was the worst that could? I mean, the real, like, guess the worst. You catch a real bad security and goes, "You guys are out of here." Throws you out of the whole arena, and maybe you don't get to see them. But I doubt that would have ever happened. Maybe they just escort you back, check your ticket, right? And so someone just said, confidence is the lack of kind of caring about the outcome as much. And so I started thinking about that more recently. What do I not really care? What am I not fearful of? You know, this interview, okay, if it goes south and I stumble or stutter or say something weird, I don't know, who cares? You know?
When was the first time you posted a video on YouTube?
Wow.
And then realized how big this could be for Jesse?
You know what? I was on it. If you go back to my first video, it was always a play to build the audience. I think my very first video, at the end of the video, I say, next video at 10 subscribers. And this was a time where people were not asking people to subscribe. In fact, I had like a backlash in the UK. A lot of the guys were like, you can't ask people to subscribe and like your video, which we now know is common practice. But it really was frowned upon. And they were like, you can't tell people to subscribe. That's not how this works. But it was like 10 subscribers, 50 subscribers. And so I had an introduction to video before that. There was an old video platform called break.com, which I don't even think it exists anymore.
I don't remember that one.
It was a really interesting platform where you'd submit a video and people that were watching could upvote it to the homepage. It was really fun.
Oh.
And so, again, third door, we'll bring that back up. I kind of watched this happen. I watched some videos go. I realized the platform's still young. There's not a lot of users. Not a lot of people are even taking the time to upvote something. So all of a sudden, I create like 50 accounts.
Oh.
I make a fake video of me scaring my friend, who's like a gorgeous female. My buddy hides in a present. I film it. We put, thinking, the stunt state of mind. We put cushion down, some blankets, and we had her like go to look in the present. And he pops out of it. She falls back, and out of frame, she falls over a chair and lands into the cushion. But in post, because I could edit at the time, again, I love video. I added a little boom sound effect, I go through my accounts, upvote it. All of a sudden it hits homepage. I don't know how many views it got at the time, but what happens with the homepage videos is break.com would also buy them. They'd license them and then license them and sell them out. So at the time, I knew nothing about any of that. I think I exclusively sold the rights to that video for like $200. Oh. Ends up, Rob Dyrdek on Ridiculousness on MTV is showing it. All these people are showing it.
Yeah.
But I just watched a couple things happen. The power of video, how quickly it can spread, the power of storytelling, the third door aspect. I think I played the system and benefited out of it. So all these things that continued to be a part of what I did happened almost right away on one of the first early video platforms that I got access to.
And I read an interview where you said at 4 o'clock in the morning one day, you're doing stunt work, and all of a sudden you had kind of like a message in your mind about what the future for Jesse should be. Can you relive that story for me?
Yeah, it was at this time. This is actually us living in that mountain house. I drove 3.5, 4 hours to get to Atlanta.
You're a dad at this point.
I'm a dad at this point. My son is probably 3 years old at home. I'm working on a show called, it was a Marvel show. Oh, I'm blanking on the name. Agatha. Yeah, Agatha. And we're just doing this scene where I'm stunt doubling Joe, and he just did this moment, this little acting beat, and early in the day, they had to film him out so he can go home and get ready for tomorrow. So they film him on the ground after he gets hit by this car. And so now we're in this alleyway. We had done the scene already 3 times. And by the scene, I mean I'm running down this alleyway. There's a camera behind me. I look back because I'm being chased. As I turn around, they have a car coming around the corner and hitting me. Boom. And I'm supposed to hit the thing, go up and over the quarter panel, go flying over the thing, and land directly in the spot where they filmed the actor earlier. We did it 3 times. It wasn't hard enough, or a lot of switching camera moves. All right, let's put the camera here. Now let's pull the camera from in front of us. It's now our 4th time doing it. I just get this moment of like, man, I hope this doesn't go wrong. I'm being hit by a car, right? No matter what, I'm going to feel it tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I love playing with my son. I love doing parkour. I love being physical and active. And I'm risking all of those things by doing another one of these takes. And I'm in it. I can't be like, nah, I'm good. You can. If I feel like something's off or there's something that's really weighing on me, I can make that call. But as a stunt performer, you're kind of a grunt. Your job is to be there because you're the guy willing to be hit by the car, capable of being hit by the car. And so it was just the first time where I had this like, man, I don't think why aren't I the actor? I've done a ton of acting. I've done the Hawaii Five-0 guest star, big chase scene, world record breaking scene. I've done all these things. I built up this career, and I'm still the guy now being hit by the car and hiding his face when I get to the ground. And it was even less about that side of it and more about like, I just want to return back to my son tomorrow and be able to play. And that's kind of, that was kind of the heaviness of that moment. Yeah.
And is that when you really decided to, I mean, I know you had done some acting stuff, but you talked here that you're with Actors Arsenal here in Wilmington.
Yeah, amazing program.
And how good are those folks? Ron, Allie, Megan, Megan and Hannah have been on the podcast.
Oh, amazing. Megan's
because of Drought, their film.
Yeah.
And so how good, and what have they brought out of Jesse that you didn't know was in there?
Yeah, so what ended up happening after the Marvel show is I just had this like epiphany of like, okay, you know what? I've done everything in my life that I've decided to really do, and you kind of alluded to this earlier. I figured out a way to do it, and I know that I'm capable. And so I had just come back from a callback for a Netflix show called Gringle Hunters, where I felt it. It was another parkour acting, like it was my role, right? And I could feel the callback went really well. And so I pulled over and I shot this terrible TikTok. It wasn't supposed to get 1 million views or anything. All it was just me documenting this moment, because I had this realization that for the rest of my life, acting is the thing, or at least that is what I'm putting my energy to. And I got overwhelmed by joy because I realized when I truly decide to go after something, it's already done. It's just a matter of time.
Right.
And so that like boiled up, and I just felt like I just needed to film me saying it to camera and document it almost for myself, right? And so after that, it was on. And that's also why we were like, we can't be in this mountain house anymore. We got to go somewhere there's film. And so we moved to Wilmington. And the very first people I reached out to were Allie. And, I found Allie, I found Actors Arsenal. And I knew that in order to do anything great, you need to be training constantly. And Actors Arsenal in Wilmington is by far, they have so many programs going on. Even this weekend, I have an casting director workshop that I'm going to. Like, there's always new things happening. I'm in a Meisner class there. I'm also in a separate advanced on-camera class there where we work on all our self-tape, document, whatever, acting stuff. And so there's something for everyone. There's beginners, there's kids. And they have continuously given me a place to train, right? And acting's a weird thing where you can't just go, I'm not going to go practice. I can't like go in my room and just practice. It's like you have to be in a position and around people that are doing it. And so one of the beautiful things we do with that on-camera class is we all film the same scenes. And so what we get to do is we go on camera, we do the whole thing like it's a real audition or a callback or sometimes together, like a chemistry read. And then we watch the tapes. And it's so incredible to watch your version of it versus my version of it. Some of the choices you've made, some of these things that came out of you and your life and how you put a little emphasis on this moment and I completely might have missed it, or I did something that you were like, oh my God, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
And you just get so much. And besides all of that, community.
Yeah.
So one thing that I've found here is that Actors Arsenal, that is what it gives you. It gives you that community, that support. We're all like rallying for each other.
Yeah. There's so many great Hannah and Megan, and then you've got J.R. Rodriguez, and then you've got the ladies over at Honeyhead Films and the great stuff they're doing. I mean, this is such a cool independent film community.
Yeah.
And I've interviewed so many of them, and I told Megan and Hannah, they went to school with my son.
Oh, nice.
They were in high school at Hoggard High School with my son, Jonathan. And when I interviewed them, I actually was really nervous sitting down with them. It's like, look what you've done.
Yeah.
I'm still talking into a microphone, and look what you've done with you've made this film.
Yeah.
It's just what they bring out of people, to me, is just fascinating. And I'm curious if what you've thought they've brought out of you that you didn't know was in there.
Well, I think it's a refining, right? I think that's the beauty of it. Is I walked in real confident, and they, even I think my second or third class in, Allie had Susan from STW, a big agent in the Southeast, come in because she wanted her to see me. I wasn't represented in the Southeast.
Yeah.
So they immediately even just presented that, and I was all of a sudden I'm doing the scene, and they're like, oh, by the way, we're gonna have a guest today. There's no warning. Luckily, I was like, it was a really fun character. I had this whole crazy thing I was doing. I'm fully into it. Like, I love this thing, right? Sure. Acting is so incredible and fun and exciting, and every role is different, and what can I bring to it? And what I think they actually did for me right now is it really dialed in like the emotional aspect and put so much more behind the eyes as opposed to like I'm doing this thing, right?
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, the refinement is really so much of it for me.
I noticed it in the Law & Order SVU role because you had, there was a scene of you in the gym talking down to Mariska Hargitay, and that's an athlete, Jesse. Yeah. But the scene on the city street where she hands you the piece of paper, that was your face, and you had to show the emotion of how that was hitting you, not by your athleticism, but that was really like they were putting everything on Jesse's face there to bring out the doubt, the everything else that character was feeling on that street corner that day.
Yeah, I think that's a great, I think you dialed it. The thing that I think I've gotten the most out of Actors Arsenal right now might be stillness.
Yeah.
Coming from a world of physicality, parkour, stunts, all these things where I am learned that's my job is to express emotion through my body, and then to come here and have Ron just say, all right, do it again, but keep it all still. Let that come out of your eyes by holding your body a little bit tighter, or by really locking yourself into that position. And so I think, you nailed it. I think that's a lot of what I got from.
Tell me about that experience, Law and Order SVU.
You want to hear the long story about the?
I've heard it was a quick turnaround. I heard the call was quick, and you had to get up there in a heartbeat and everything else like that, right?
Yeah. So I just posted this story. It was a 4,000 character story, and Instagram only let me post 2,000 characters. And I posted this whole story because I posted this very short clip of me crying on my fitting room floor of the first day of set. And I'm there, and so I posted this whole thing. It's got 19 million views. Oh. 19 million people, and it's a 4-5 second clip, so they're not watching the video. That's 19 million people reading the story of how getting to that job how much it took to get there. And so I'll try to give you the short version, maybe. We'll see. But the job was already rushed. I get this audition, SVU. It's a guest star arc, top of show, which immediately you go, okay, the difference between a guest star and a co-star is that this character is the story. You're going to be throughout the whole episode, which is kind of rare right now on television. It's mostly co-stars. And so for this even to come across my table in my email, I was like, oh, I want this. So I dove in, and they sent a full script and mentioned, by the way, sorry for the less than 48 hours that you get to memorize this 8 pages and turn around this. I think my interrogation scene ended up being an 8-minute scene. And so in an audition, there's no cuts. I have to have everything memorized, not just memorized, but have all the thoughts, have all that emotions attached to this really heavy material about, being sexually abused as a kid by an older man, and like all this stuff. It's like,
it's heavy. It's
weighted.
not, it's not just, I hit a home run in the bottom of the ninth inning.
So how do I draw from my past experience, my childhood? Was there anything I could pull from? I dove into material. I read the whole script. I stayed up till 1:30. That next day, I feel it. I wake up, read it again. We just dive into it. My wife is an incredible actress as well, so she's a really good scene partner. I have this little film studio in my garage I have set up all day, every day, so I'm ready to rock in if I need to film one of these. So in less than 24 hours, I dive into this thing. 4 takes in, it was hitting. It just felt like I aligned with, this character's name was Razor. And she knows. She's like one of those people that gets it. She's like, I don't know, I'll be very surprised if you don't book this. And so we blast it in there. We already know they're in a rush, so getting it in early, third door concept. Let's figure it out. What can I do to help them? They then send it. I guess Mariska also producing, directing, all these things. So she's watching the tapes, which I later find out. And she's like, your vulnerability really stood out. That's what I felt the most from you, is that you were willing and open to let people into you through your eyes and your stillness. And so then, I think like 18 hours go by, and I get this call. I don't get the call because my phone's on the charger. I'm playing with the kids. So my mother-in-law gets a call from my wife. My agent, who also represents her, called her and was like, "Where is Jesse? We need him. The SVU wants him." So she calls her mom, and her mom's like, "Dude, you got to you call?" So I run to my phone. Oh, my God, a bunch of missed calls from my agent. I call her. She's like, "They want you. They want to book you, but because you're supposed to be a local hire in New York, that's just the way SVU works as an actor. Some shows are like that. SVU is one of those shows where I am willing to fly myself out. I want to be a part of that world." For those that don't know, Law and Order is like a rite of passage. Every major actor who has done anything has come through a guest star role at some point of SVU. So I coming from New York, I think I even did background on that show. It's like, it's up there. Like this is a ladder, a rung that I want to lift myself up on. And so and she goes, "You got 30 minutes to get to the airport. There's only one flight leaving." This was right after the biggest snowstorm in the last 10 years of New York City. So the flights are all messed up. I can't book a flight online. I'm trying, but it won't let you book if the flight is under an hour. So I run to park my car. I'm running to the airport. I get to the desk, and the woman goes, "Oh, well, we don't do tickets at the desk at United." "Okay, do you have a direct number that I can call to get a human and book this ticket?" "All right, here's the number." I call. It's like, Hi, thanks for calling. I've noticed that you've called from this phone before. Would you like me to save it? I'm like in like stress mode. I'm like, yes, save the number.
Hurry
I don't
the
care.
heck up. Yeah.
And it's like, I'm sorry. Please say yes or no. I'm like, I'm like freaking out. There's another airline, I think American or something, that's flying to JFK or Newark probably.
Yeah.
So it's a different airport. I heard that one was a little worse for wear on the flights. So I run over there while I'm still on the phone. I say, do you have a flight? Oh, it's delayed an hour. We do have one more flight. All our flights have left today. Okay, how long's the longest delay been? Hour and a half. Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I book it, hang up with United. All of a sudden, delayed for 2 hours.
Oh, my.
Longest in ILM Wilmington Airport never has a line. This is the longest line of my life here. I don't know what was going on. I'm like, I know I have time because the flight's delayed, but I'm stressing out, trying to read my lines because now I have 5-6 different scenes that I need to memorize.
Yeah.
I know the interrogation scene is first at 6 a.m. that next day.
Oh, my.
So I need to be like prepping, reading, memorizing, diving deeper than I was already 24 hours ago for the audition. I get out there. Oh, no, I don't get out there. The flight doesn't even take off. So now it's 2 hours delayed. We are sitting on the plane. Finally, we get on, and we're just sitting there. He pulls out. I'm like, okay, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Right. And then we're just sitting there. He gets on the speaker. Hi, folks, I'm sorry. I hate to tell you this, but if we pull back into the gate, this will be our final destination for the evening. So I'm going to tell you what, we have 20 minutes we're allowed to sit here before I have to pull back in. If you don't mind, let's just hang out and see what happens. And I am like, okay, now my agent, because I booked the ticket, she was comfortable enough to say, okay, Jesse's in, we've signed the contract. The casting director, the producers, everybody thinks I'm in New York already. There's no... no one thinks I'm not going to show up.
Yeah.
So if this flight doesn't go, I'm calculating, okay, I got 9 hours to drive, 10 hours if I drive, even if they cancel this flight, I'm going to get there at 6 a.m. during my call time. I'm going to be exhausted.
Yeah.
I think I could still make it work. I'm trying to figure out if this goes south,
Oh, my.
how do I not ruin everyone's relationship?
Yeah.
Anyway, we're driving. All of a sudden, he just starts driving. I feel like in a plane, I've never driven 5 minutes on it, and it just kept driving. Like, where are we going? Sure enough, finally,
Takes
oh
off.
my God, I think I let out a nice little curse, F-bomb or something like F yeah. And it just like, it came out of me, right? I text my agent before we take off real quick. We're taking off. Text my wife, we're taking off. I still have to figure out where I'm staying. My cousin, who isn't not getting back to me, is in Brooklyn somewhere. So I have to like get there, navigate the snow, find the place, try to sleep. Your alarm, you're terrified your alarm's not going to go off. It's still a snowstorm, so I don't know what trains are going to be delayed the next morning. So I get no sleep. I wake up early. I hike like way longer than I needed to in New York because I got off the wrong stop and had no idea. I get there early, we get into it, and it's the interrogation scene. This is a heavy scene, a lot of words, a lot of heavy emotion. I'm tapping into things, my tools. I had a dog that I loved, Morgan, who I have never used him to build up emotion, but I was watching some videos of him, so I was on the brink of emotion this whole time. I wanted that to be behind Razor's eyes, that like, I'm not going to let this out, but I have something inside of me. And so we do the scene for like 3 hours, 4 hours, every angle. It's, Marishka's amazing. Kelly's amazing. They're pulling things out of me. They're like, my very first line was like, I don't know how many times I got to tell you this. I didn't kill Ian. And so Marishka trained in Meisner, which is very like call and repeat. And so she's almost like getting it out of me, my very first line. So we come into this thing with energy. She's like, you killed him, didn't you? You killed him. And she's like giving me it. And it's like perfect. Because now my first moment in is like, I don't know how many times, I don't know how many times I got to tell you this. I didn't kill Ian. Like, it's there.
Yeah.
And so like just having them as partners and professionals who just are incredible. Anyway, so we finish that. I go back to my room and I could feel the emotion and the relief of I made it.
Yeah.
This moment in my career, all the stuff I was holding in for the scene, it just wanted to come out, and I knew it would. And I've documented my whole life, so I just threw my camera down and I laid on my floor, and I had this like physical, lip quivering little like cry that started to come out, and And I never meant to post it. And then, talking about the vulnerability and Mariska, talking about all that. And I just know right now social media is inundated with like, look at me, I'm on a yacht, and it felt like I just needed to tell this story because so many of us actors are going through the same thing. So many of us humans are going through the same thing of wanting to achieve something great, and just so many obstacles get in our way. And so to be on the other side of one of these moments and just recognize that it wasn't easy and it wasn't even glamorous. Oh, gosh. It was just, I'm just proud of it, right? And again, 19 million people connected with that story now. And I have a meeting with a manager, potential new manager today. There's doors opening, but it was never the point. I just wanted to share what I went through and see if anyone else related.
When you look in the mirror at 41 with 2 kids off SVU, the social media following, what do you see at the guy who looks back at you in the mirror right now?
Man, right now? So talking about vulnerability, acting is not an easy career. And so one thing that I've also done by going down this rabbit hole of chasing this new angle of the industry is I've sort of isolated myself somewhat out of stunts, which paid a lot of our bills. So honestly, when I'm looking in the mirror right now, I'm looking at someone who's terrified to check my bank account. I'm looking at a guy that's gone down this peaks and valleys, and right now we've been in this valley of chasing the dream for the last couple of years. So there's $45,000 worth of debt and a dream of a big residual maybe coming in and a job and an audition that I might have to book and a desperate air to like, I need to keep my family alive. I haven't worked a day job in 17 years. I finally just started working a day job here because that's where I'd love to paint the picture. I go to red carpets all the time, right. But so many of us actors, it's not that. We're struggling to just make it happen. And we have so much belief and passion towards the thing that when I look in the mirror, I see a confident father who loves their family, has built something. I sit in my house and I watch my kids play, and I'm so excited, but at the same time, that mortgage payment's coming up at the end of the month. And so there's a bittersweet energy to like, can you do this? Is this really happening? SVU is a big win. But it didn't bring another opportunity yet. It wasn't an instant change. Oh, I got more guest stars coming up. It's still right back to the grind. That's probably not the answer you expected.
No, it's not. Because, when I look at Jesse LaFlair, and as I started doing research for this, here's all this social media. Best Director 2019. He's got that sitting up on the mantle. He's just coming off SVU. I would think that Jesse would look at him and say, hey, I'm in a great place. But life's
a wild thing.
That's amazing to me. But you're again, though, knowing you, that third door is somewhere.
Oh, it's there. I mean, in the stunt industry is still my access key. Part of my plan for where I'm at currently is continue to do the anything I can do as an actor, whether that's just like the agents submit the auditions. Acting is such a hard thing because you can't go, hey, I'm over here. Hey, director, put me in your show. It's just not how it works. There's producers. People need to say yes. Casting, there's traditional ways to do it until maybe when you get to that offer-only level. But I'm not there yet as an actor. I have a history and all the credits and so much stuff and major projects I've been on. But when you look at my Jesse as an actor, it's not there yet. And so what I'm doing is I know that my relationships from the 15 years of being a stunt performer, the specialty of parkour, my physicality, my understanding of that, and now having acting as a specialty within stunts, which the industry is finally adapting to. Used to be, stay in your lane, son. You want to be an actor? I'm not hiring you because I don't want you going to talk to the producers or directors. You're here to do stunts and practice whatever movement that I need you to do. That's all shifted. Now producers, directors are going, well, all right, we know this is an acting role, so we need a stunt guy who can act. All of a sudden, acting has become a specialty. So if I can keep relying on those relationships and sending those emails out and reminding those coordinators that not only am I Jesse, the professional parkour athlete who's got this incredible wild stunt reel.
Yeah.
Again, kind of dancing with the devil because stunts is dangerous. Every job you do, bumps, bruises are guaranteed. And sometimes breaks happen and sometimes people die. That is actually the business we live in. And so as a stunt actor in that space, I recognize that that is probably my way to continue to build higher level credits with bigger scenes in bigger shows that then allow other casting directors to go, oh, this guy's, I can trust him. Plus, look at this audition he just put up. This is our guy. And so that's kind of the only third door I have right now within the acting world. And I'm kind of developing a program right now. I'm potentially going to be offering to other actors to try to get a little bit of that for themselves. Because so many of these roles we see, they go stunt experience or action or stunt experience encouraged.
Yeah.
And so if you have some ability and some training behind that, and that might be something I offer here to Wilmington or create an online masterclass fairly soon.
When you look at somebody in the eye, what do you see? What's the first thing you notice about somebody? When we met today, what's the first thing you notice about somebody? Do you look in their eyes? Do you look at the way they ask Jesse a question?
Yeah, I think it's energy more than anything. Very hippie in that way. Like, I think there's just a presentation of confidence, and it's not always just confidence. It's just like, it's a feeling more than anything. It's funny that you say the eye thing because I'm not really a big eye contact guy. I think I like, it's like an overall thing, right? It's like I can feel you if I'm sort of just in your space. And then also I think as a entertainer and someone who is constantly like not putting on a show, but it's my career is to be looked at. I feel like I don't want to make you nervous by looking in your eyes. So sometimes I'd rather be here. And when I storytell, I visualize things. The whole room transforms, right? That's what acting's done for me. It's like, and the lights go away, the cameras go away, everything as I'm telling the story, I'm there. And so I need to like not be locked in here sometimes while doing that. But Meisner, right now, I'm training right now, is very much about eye contact. It's about really taking in the subtleties of how you're reacting to me. And so I'm studying more of that, which is interesting because it puts it more on you, my reaction to you, as opposed to just letting you be you and exist by, I don't know, being more comfortable maybe is how I kind of imagine it. Yeah, energy is more the first thing.
I want to talk about Tempest because there's, you look on social media, there's the talk about Jesse maybe opening a school here. Is that on your to-do list?
So that was one of the biggest shifts recently is again, thinking about finances, stability, right? Any job I get, even right now, if it's a one-day job as a co-star on something, that is like, I consider it fuel so that I can continue to drive down the journey of acting. There's no destination. I don't need to be a red carpet star in a mansion. I just want to keep doing this thing. And so it became like, all right, what is the way in which we might be able to support doing this thing that aligns really well with all of it? And so I'm a co-owner of a Tempest Freerunning Academy. If you're not familiar with it, it's like the world-class parkour and freerunning facilities in the world. Right. We developed the first band system, which is almost like a martial arts belt system, but it's a bracelet band that you can progress through the levels of movement.
Is that in Dallas?
So there's one in Dallas that I'm a co-owner of, but the first one was in Chatsworth in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Then we opened another one up in South Bay, and then there's another one closer to San Diego. And they're all doing well. They've all been open for over 10 years.
Nice.
We had one shut down during COVID, but it's pretty much because SpaceX wanted the building and they bought us out. So it's a whole different story. But the gym is an incredible, almost third door too, right? It's a mix of all of it. So Jesse, as a parkour athlete, I love teaching. I love coaching. I love this experience of like sharing whatever knowledge or experiences I've had that might make someone else have a different perspective on life or grow as a human. And so as a coach, I loved it, but then my career took off. And so right now things are slow. So it would be amazing to get back into that ability. And my son is 6. He's jumping off everything. But all his friends are too. And so, there's an amazing school here in Wilmington called the School of Wonder. They have an incredible program. And so I've started coaching and working with some of them. I might even be doing like a step in once a month kind of specialty kind of gym class with them. But Wilmington does not have anything like it. There's like a ninja class gym at one of the gymnastics places. There's like, they got the little long leaf ninja park. But even that is not parkour. If we were to bring a Tempest Freerunning Academy to the East Coast, which has been a long discussion that all the East Coasters have been wanting for a while, what I'd want to do is a smaller version of it, a more intimate scene. Instead of the 8,000 square feet, maybe it's 4,000, 5,000 square feet. And what it will do, it will bring, I just know it already, it will bring a community of people together that have not had their place, have not found where they belong. And in a lot of that is like, it's not just parkour. It's like, it's the acrobats, the circus people, the like people who do these specialty movements in silk. And it's not just the oddballs. It's the people who are passionate about growth and again, breaking those current physical limitations and expanding what they are capable of. And so that would be the goal with it, is not just a gym, but making sure that there's a space, which a lot of these gyms out here don't have, is a comfortable place for people to commune and hang out and build friendships that last forever through a shared experience of self-growth and physicality. And so that is what we're doing. We have a full, incredible financial plan that is built off of the 10 years of profit and loss statements of the other gyms, but mixed with the Wilmington overhead, which is significantly cheaper than Los Angeles. And so the business model is like great. And so we're looking into things like doing a small business loan, which unfortunately the SBA, I'm afraid or hesitant to submit yet because the personal finance debt to income ratio is still all over. And Jesse, even as an entertainer, I have a S Corp that all my business goes through. And so the pass through on paper, Jesse only makes like $40,000 a year taxable income because so much of my stuff is write-offs as a social media guy, an athlete, a traveler. Everything I do is part of that. Yeah. And so we are looking for finances. We are open to the ability of bringing in equity partners. We're currently, the raise is $450,000, and that's for the build out with about 5 months of runway. We have identified some locations. That one in the Soda Pop District, which is an amazing place that is currently, again, talking about, the place to be. Yeah.
And great restaurants there too. If you've never been there, oh my God.
Oh yeah, and there's an amazing, and no one talks about this place. I just went in there for the first time. There's a folk cafe. Have you ever been in there?
No.
Oh my God, it's the cutest little.
No.
It's right over there. You'd miss it. It's like on one of those back roads. Folk cafe. It's run by, I forget where they're from. They've
never been
foreign, but they make these incredible foods, these empanadas, and it's this old couple. And I saw a little Instagram that someone made a video about it, popped up, and I was like, I had to stop in there. And the empanadas were amazing.
I'll have to go there. We go to the burger place that moved off Wrightsville. That's our favorite place.
Cool.
My wife and I. Yeah. That and PTs.
Yeah,
we're in our habits now. We could sit here and I could talk to you for hours.
Yeah.
Because of the research, I've looked into everything bound by movement. I looked into SUNY, How You Met Your Wife. I've enjoyed this conversation immensely. This has been a lot of fun. Cool. I appreciate you taking the time and joining me and everybody. Watch Jesse's website because I'm sure you'll put everything there as far as the school and everything going forward.
Yeah,
right?
Instagram is the big one, just at Jesse LaFlair. That's the one that most of it goes through.
Thanks once again for joining me on the One-on-One with Jon Evans podcast. I've had a real blast today. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
A huge thank you to Jesse LaFlair for taking time out of his busy schedule, coming into our studio and joining me for this week's podcast episode. You can stay up to date on all of Jesse's work by going to jesselaflair.com. Of course, follow him on social media. On Instagram, as he just said, it's at Jesse LaFlair. The same at Jesse LaFlair on TikTok. And on YouTube, it's LaFlair Parkour. Now, before we go, I'd like to ask you a favor. Please follow or subscribe to the One-on-One with Jon Evans podcast on whatever app you use to listen or watch your favorite shows. And if you'd like to see a video version of my interview with Jesse LaFleur, just head on over to my YouTube channel. It's Jon Evans TV. I'm Jon Evans. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of One-on-One.